Hi, everybody. I just wanted to show you my rig for this Sunday's live streaming concert. Of course, at the center, as always, is my Rogers 825 organ. But this week I'm going to try to play some of my original ambient organ music. And that, of course, involves somehow patching this old analog technology instrument into some modern digital effects processors. So that's what this is all about. And I've shown this rig before. So we have several reverb and echo processors, a little mixer, and then it all goes into my vacuum tube amplifier that just sounds great. Now there's some challenges to this setup. With a digital organ, you can plug into regular hi-fi speakers like you see here. Now here's the digital organ that I used for the studio recording. That's my multi-track recorder. And here's another amplifier mixer setup. My first thing was to try and patch the 825 into these hi-fi speakers because that was just going to be a much simpler way to do this. But there's a problem with that. Analog technology organs basically use oscillator filter setups, the same as like a Mini Moog or an ARP 2600, to imitate the sound of a pipe organ. Well, the filtering is the key because the oscillator always puts out extra harmonics and tones that you don't want, and you need to reshape it and all of that. And part of that reshaping is the speakers you use. Now you can kind of see up there behind the tiki guys, these are specialized speakers with a particular equalization curve that's necessary to make an analog organ sound like an organ. So in experimenting, I found out that I have to get the organ back into its own speakers in order for this thing to sound right and for the whole setup to really work correctly. So let me go over here and I'll show you one part of an adapter cord. I had to make a bunch of adapter cords. The old organs use these 5-pin plugs. The male counterpart, of course, has pins coming out of it. And you have two things here. You have the audio signal, which is just a standard line level audio signal. And then you have a 12-volt relay signal to turn on and off remote amplifiers. Now, I did need to use that feature for this amplifier to run my big subwoofer cabinet. But in most cases, I just used a standard stereo audio cable, cut the 1/4-inch phone jacks off of one end, and then soldered the 5-pin connectors on. I've got the male counterpart on the plugs coming out of the back of the organ. So if we go back over there, you can see I've got this interesting umbilical coming out of here. We've got several audio cords. We've got the white wire that's in the mix there is the 12-volt relay signal. Then all of that comes over here. We go into this massive wiring nightmare to hook everything up in the correct order. And then off of the amplifiers, the silver plugs there and the black lines coming out, that's our speaker lines going out to the main speakers, and they're tied in behind the organ. Then we have to get signal over to the subwoofer, and the way I had to route it, I won't go into the details because they're boring. I wasn't getting a strong enough signal, so I've plugged in this preamp to boost that signal before it goes on over to the remote amplifier for the subwoofer. Now the other trick on this is that the music, some of the music I wrote, and if you listen to the tracks on the segments playlist, involve a looper. So I had to figure out how to rig a looper pedal in such a way that it wouldn't interfere with playing the pedal board, but would be easily accessible for doing the loop effects that I'm going to do. So this week's concert, I'm going to play some original music. First by Mr. Scott Davis. He wrote a nice little prelude piece. I'm also going to play the Gothic Suite in its entirety. And in between there, I've got some virtual duets planned with Paul Alamon, who runs the Quarantine Concerts page. And then I'm going to also play some of my original ambient music. So we're all set up for that. So join us on Facebook Live. It'll be posted on Quarantined Concerts. It'll also be posted on my Facebook page as well. So we'll see you Sunday.